Good morning, this is Shelby Law with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Friday, June 23rd, 2023. The fire potential impacts for the next couple of days are shown here. For today, we have some wind in place over southern and eastern Utah with low relative humidities and some scattered showers and thunderstorms further north. On Saturday, the winds quiet down and the thunderstorms decrease somewhat. And then Sunday, they're both back. So more showers and thunderstorms over Idaho, northern and western Nevada, and then wind returns to the southern Great Basin. Here is the precipitation and lightning from yesterday. Overall, a pretty quiet day in the Great Basin. Fire activity remains pretty light over the Great Basin. There have been a few initial attack fires down south. These have all remained quite small. Observed precipitation for the past 7 days is shown here with the amount on the left and percent of normal on the right. It's been a pretty dry week over northern and central Nevada, but they have had recent precipitation before then. Idaho and Wyoming have had some precip, and then much of Utah and southern Nevada as well. Although these were short duration storms, they did have a fair amount of precip with them. Recent trends for ERC are shown here. Over southwest Idaho, we can see those values are below normal for the time of year, but on a pretty good upward swing. The same is true for central Nevada. Those values are still quite a bit below normal for the time of year, but we have seen a rapid increase, and that increase will continue under these warm and dry conditions that we're heading into. This morning's satellite imagery shows a low pressure center over the western Great Basin, keeping some moisture in place over the north and west with a drier air mass over Utah and southern Nevada, and we see those gusty winds out ahead of that low today. Again, for this afternoon, that low still remaining the dominant feature, spreading some moisture into the northern half of the Great Basin and drier conditions over the southern area. We will see winds pick up out ahead of that low in southern and eastern Utah. No high risk triggers just yet, as fuels are still finishing curing out and becoming available for larger fires across the south. Probability of precip is shown here on the left. Again, expecting another round of showers and thunderstorms across Idaho and Wyoming, and to some extent over portions of northern and western Nevada. Dry over Utah with those gusty winds over central and eastern Utah, gusts up to 35 miles an hour or so. On Saturday, a trough remains off the California coast here, keeping a little bit of moisture in place over Idaho and northern portions of Nevada, although we will see precip decrease a bit from today and continued dry conditions across the south. Our temperatures will steadily warm over the next few days with highs in the low 80s on Saturday, and minimum relative humidities are quite low over the southern and eastern portions of the Great Basin, with single digits expected across the far south. On Sunday, that low moves a little bit further inland, enhancing the chances for some precipitation over Idaho, far northern and western Nevada. Utah and southern Nevada remain dry with warming temperatures and breezy conditions. So for Sunday, again, probability of precip a little bit higher, especially over the central Idaho mountains and portions of far northern and western Nevada. As far as the winds go, wind speeds pick up a bit across the southern Great Basin ahead of that next low. We do expect to see gusty outflows from any storms that develop over northern and western Nevada. The 3-day precip totals are shown here. Again, expecting precip to continue over the north and then over far western Nevada, although the precip amounts will be fairly light in those areas. More of the same is expected on Monday, as that low just kind of hangs out over western Nevada, possibly enhancing a bit of precip there, keeping conditions dry with breezy southerly winds over Utah and southern Nevada. And that trend continues into Tuesday, with that low remaining still over the west coast. And the pattern continues into Wednesday, so that low still dominating the main weather pattern, keeping things drier in the south with higher chances of precipitation further north. On Thursday, it finally looks like that low will track east across the Great Basin, bringing maybe a slight cool down in some areas and possibly some isolated storms moving eastward over Utah. The 7-day precip totals are shown here. Most of this precipitation is coming in the short term, and then possibly a little bit lingering into the first part of next week as that trough hangs out over western Nevada. The extended forecast through June 30th through July 6th is calling for above normal temperatures pretty much everywhere across the Great Basin, and we see this below normal, this tongue of below normal precipitation from the southwest up into especially Utah. This is signaling the delay of the onset of the monsoon, so generally dry conditions are expected, especially over Utah and Nevada, into the first week of July. That concludes today's fire potential briefing. Please check back on Monday for the latest updates.